Tonight, months after a local brothel bust, now a federal case. The charges against those accused of forcing illegal immigrants to have sex for money.
Stopping a killer.
I took cover and I waited for him to get closer.
Hear from the security guard who saved lives at a Colorado megachurch. Plus, the cause of death for an 80s rock star found dead in his Las Vegas home.
And after a weekend boost from the Queen of Talk, Barack Obama makes a campaign stop here in the Valley.
We're watching out for you. This is News 3 Nightside with Jim Snyder and Sue Manteris.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Maria Silva in for Sue tonight. We begin with federal indictments against a ring of alleged brothel operators.
Yeah, prosecutors say at least 4 houses in Las Vegas were used as illicit sex clubs staffed by young Asian women who were in this country illegally. News 3 Steve Crupi is in the studio now with more on this developing case.
Jim, we began covering this story 8 months ago when police raided the brothels and shut them down. Now, a federal grand jury has indicted 4 of the alleged brothel bosses, 3 men and 1 woman, accusing them of bringing illegal aliens to Las Vegas and putting them to work as prostitutes. From the outside, the houses don't look like anything special. Small, 1-story homes near Arville and West Flamingo. But inside, police say the picture was very different, and neighbors say taxis and limos would arrive on a nightly basis.
It was quite obvious what was going on.
Today, here at the federal courthouse, 3 of the alleged brothel operators faced a judge. 1 defendant remains on the run. Police say the women working here were victims of human trafficking, and evidence indicates they would be put to work for 10 to 15 days in one of the homes and then get moved to another brothel down the street or around the corner. Police say the operation was sophisticated and involved numerous locations.
By far one of the largest takedowns we've done. 8 separate locations is pretty much the biggest we've done in Las Vegas Valley.
The brothel locations are not far from the growing Chinatown area of Las Vegas, and investigators believe the majority of the prostitutes were illegally enticed into Las Vegas and forced to live in substandard conditions. The only female defendant in this case is a Chinese woman named Jia Hui Keys. She pleaded not guilty today, but may have trouble explaining where she got nearly $500,000 in cash deposited into her bank accounts prior to the brothels being shut down. And the defendants in this case also faced drug charges for allegedly selling ecstasy pills at the brothels. Jim?
All right, Steve, thank you. And if you're new to town, you should know despite the Sin City image of Las Vegas, prostitution is against the law everywhere in Clark County. The closest legal brothels are in neighboring Nye County, just outside the town of Pahrump.
She says she was raped repeatedly and held against her will in a shipping container. The allegations come from an American woman who was working for an American defense contractor in Iraq. Jamie Lay Jones says her attackers were fellow workers employed by KBR, a former Halliburton subsidiary. Instead of providing help, she says her bosses kept her under guard in a shipping container. It was only when someone sneaked her a cell phone that she was able to call her father, who called a U.S. congressman. Jones is suing due to loopholes that make it tough to prosecute contractors working in Iraq. Halliburton says it should not be named in that lawsuit because it's no longer tied to KBR.
She was a mother who dreamed of becoming an actress. That's just some of what we're learning about the woman found shot to death in her own car last week. So far, there have been no arrests in the murder of Rachel Gandil. This happened early Friday morning in the parking lot of the 7-Eleven at Flamingo and Rainbow. Witnesses say the killer was in her car, then took off in a black and silver car.
A high school student is caught with a gun on campus. It happened today just after 2 at the Southeast Career Technical Academy, formerly known as VOTEC. Police tell us the teen did not have any bullets. They also say this was all discovered with the help of staff members who noticed a boy acting out of the ordinary and decided to take action. Meanwhile, in Colorado, police have linked the deadly shootings at a mega church and a missionary training school to the same young man. After the missionary school shooting, Matthew Murray traveled 65 miles to the New Life Church, where he killed 2 girls and wounded 3 others, including their father. A security guard took action and took Murray out.
I was given the assignment to end this before it got too too much worse. And I just prayed for the Holy Spirit to guide me.
And police describe Murray as a young man who had a grudge against Christians. He used to attend the missionary school where 2 people were killed.
A group of construction workers took a fall today on a site at the Strip. This was just after 8:30 at the Fontainebleau project. It's being built south of the Sahara, or of Sahara Avenue. Clark County Fire Department says all 4 dropped about 30 feet when a retaining wall they were working on failed. Their injuries are not life-threatening. In August, a worker died after falling at that same site.
One day after welcoming Oprah Winfrey on the campaign trail, Illinois Senator Barack Obama returns to Las Vegas.
The Democratic presidential candidate is hoping to close the gap between himself and Hillary Clinton in the polls. Gerard Ramalho is live in the Satellite Center to show us how this race is changing, not only for the Democrats, but also the Republicans. Gerard.
Well, Jim, we are starting to see some surprises. You can look forward to more surprises in the next several weeks. You can bet that the candidates are going to be doing double duty right now. Also, look for more television ads in the very near future. And, of course, now that we are a caucus state, you can bet that a lot of the focus is going to be centered right here in Nevada. It is now officially crunch time for all those hoping to represent their party in the upcoming race for the White House. And while some of the candidates have seemingly received a lot of attention until now, others are pulling out the stops in this 11th hour before the caucuses.
I'm beginning to like this.
Just this weekend, TV talk show host Oprah Winfrey announced her endorsement of candidate Barack Obama. Obama today was in Las Vegas taking part in a roundtable discussion.
I think it's fair to say that the dynamics are changing in Nevada as we get closer to the caucus and people are paying more attention, and that we really have no idea who's going to win.
John, hi, my name is Scott with the State Democrats.
In Nevada, party volunteers are already busy phoning voters, attempting to rally support. Meantime, there have been some surprise shifts in the polls. Republican candidate Mike Huckabee, for instance, the ordained minister who once placed dead last, is now leading some polls. Proof there's still time to sway opinions.
Obviously, those that have boots on the ground will be kicking in high gear, and we've had a couple campaigns that seem to have more volunteers than others. But I think in the next week to 10 days, you're going to see a massive influx of volunteers coming in from the campaigns on both sides of the aisle.
So don't be surprised if you get a call in the next few days. Many agree the key to a successful caucus is participation. It's also the best way to ensure the right man or woman gets the job. And Jim, Maria, I mentioned the TV ads. You can look for many of the candidates' campaign ads to start airing in Nevada this week. Also, most of the candidates have indicated they are planning at least one more trip to Nevada before the January 19th caucus. Live in the Satellite Center, I'm Gerard Ramalho. Now back to you.
It's nice to be getting this kind of attention as a state. Gerard, thank you. And more evidence of what he was just talking about. Hillary Clinton keeping pace with her closest competitor. Like Barack Obama, the Clinton campaign will begin airing TV ads starting tomorrow. Here, the spots will run statewide through the caucuses on January 19th.
He's been in prison for a few weeks now, but today suspended Atlanta Falcons quarterback Michael Vick learned just how long he'll be there. Sports director Rick Strasser joins us a bit early with more on Vick's dogfighting sentencing today in Virginia, and that sentence has been longer than it had to be.
That's true, and you know, it's basically for one reason. It's what the judge called a calculated effort to conceal the truth. Michael Vick wanted to show the judge he was sorry, but the judge said that just wasn't enough. Vick, dressed in prison stripes today, accepted responsibility and apologized to his family and the court. Judge Henry Hudson said Vick owed the apology to millions of youngsters who idolized him and sentenced Vick to 23 months behind bars. He could have been given much less, but he did not believe that Vick had been completely honest about his involvement in killing unproductive dogs.
Michael has known from the very beginning that there were severe consequences to the bad judgment he used in engaging in dog fighting. He knows that the sentence that Judge Hudson gave him today is a direct result of his conduct.
With good behavior, Vick could be out of prison sometime in early 2009. As for his NFL career, he is suspended indefinitely until he gets out of jail. Then the league will decide whether to reinstate him or not, because they could impose another longer suspension for him. But you know what? Ironically, his current team played tonight, and I'll show you that coming up later in sports.
Looking forward to that. Thank you so much, Rick, for that. Well, it could be a new beginning in the Mack murder case. The Reno businessman entered a guilty plea last month for the murder of his wife and admitted there was enough evidence to convict him for shooting a Washoe County judge. Mack's new lawyer says he was dehydrated, exhausted, and in pain when he entered those pleas. A judge up in Reno has agreed to a new hearing for Mack on January 15th to see if there should be a new trial.
We have some new information tonight in the death of Quiet Riot lead singer Kevin Dubrow. He was found dead a couple of weeks ago in his home in Las Vegas. He had battled addiction for years, but friends said lately it seemed like he'd gotten it under control. Now the Clark County coroner says it was an accidental cocaine overdose that took his life. Dubrow was 52 years old. He became a star in 1983 when Quiet Riot's Come On Feel the Noise became a #1 hit.
Coming up, he was an American icon.
And today it was one last goodbye. Evel Knievel laid to rest. We'll show you part of the funeral for the legendary daredevil.
Also, a worldwide honor for a global cause. Al Gore's message after accepting the Nobel Peace Prize.
And 2 local weight loss clinics closed down. Why, it's not just FIG patients who are looking to get their money back.
I'm Kevin Janison, the News 3 Weather Center. We've got cold air and we've got some flakes flying from northern Nevada toward us. We'll let you know what that means for your morning. And here we go again. The winds are blowing and they're going to pick up too. Your full forecast when we come back.
On tomorrow's program,
we have big deadline news for you.
If you're sending packages across the country, we're going to tell you exactly when you need to get to the post office.
And Sky 3 is going to be making sure you get to work on time. So wake up with the Wagners at 5 a.m.
A big moment for America's former Vice President. Al Gore accepts a Nobel Peace Prize during a special ceremony today in Norway. His work on raising awareness about climate change earned him that honor. He says he hopes the international recognition will get countries such as the U.S. and China to take action.
We, the human species, are confronting a planetary emergency. A threat to the survival of our civilization that is gathering ominous and destructive potential even as we gather here.
Al Gore is sharing the prize with the United Nations panel on climate change.
How to take down violent suspects without killing them is the point of a conference happening at the Rio. Hundreds of law enforcement officers from all around the country made the trip here to take part in this training. Today it was all about non-lethal ways to take someone down and keep a situation under control.
This is a way to escort somebody even against their will. My partner and I escorted an emotionally disturbed person who was pretty much set on us carrying her, but through the escort principle, she walked for us.
This is the 8th year for the U.S. National Standards of Training Association Conference. It'll last through the week.
They wanted to lose some weight, but now patients have lost their money after 2 lipodissolve centers shut down without any warning. The Healthline 3 team first looked into FIG back in April. Now the FDA is investigating the procedure. The FIG locations in Henderson and Summerlin shut down over the weekend due to money problems. It's not just patients who are demanding a refund. The medical director says he's also out of money.
I personally have demolished walls and a lot of unpaid services and rent in the order of tens of thousands of dollars.
And Dr. Manoli says he will provide follow-up care for the patients, but he can't give shots because FIG took his supplies. On its website, FIG says it will contact patients regarding any possible refunds.
A young man fell to his death while taking in a football game. This happened yesterday in San Francisco at Monster Park. The 49ers say the man fell about 20 feet from an upper deck concourse onto a ramp below. Paramedics worked on him for half an hour, but they were not able to save him. He was at the game with friends and family.
Farewell to a daredevil today at the funeral service for Evel Knievel. A huge crowd turned out in Knievel's hometown of Butte, Montana to say goodbye. He passed away on November 30th after struggling for years with diabetes and other health problems. Knievel is best known for death-defying stunts on his motorcycle during the 70s. And one of those stunts was Knievel's jump over the fountains at Caesars Palace. Today, the hotel casino had one of his bikes on display. You see that right there. Caesars is also paying tribute with a special message to Knievel that can be seen on its marquee through Friday.
Well, if you were outside at all tonight, you probably went, whoa.
I stayed inside. I didn't even go.
Yeah, no, it's, I got out the heavy coat tonight, actually.
You know, we talk about the dry heat during the summer. Oh, it's a dry heat. But now we've got a damp, cool.
Cuts through you.
Yeah, it does. There is definitely more bite. And the wind's blowing.
Yeah.
Oh, just for a little added discomfort. That's what we're here for. We've got a little breeze blowing. At times, it'll gust over 30 miles per hour, and it'll be blowing in the colder air. We'll show you the picture from our camera on top of Black Mountain looking at the Las Vegas Valley. Love this shot because the lights of the valley illuminating the clouds that are moving in. And while these clouds are not all that thick, there is the chance they could produce a few sprinkles, couple light showers, and maybe even some flurries during the early morning hours. Again, not an extremely wet system, so we're not expecting any significant amounts of precipitation, if any, falls in town at all. 46 right now, and the wind's blowing out of the north at 14. Whew, humidity at 38%. Here's the way your Tuesday is going to look. We'll get going in the upper 30s. Could be a couple of showers around, but the wind 10 to 20 with stronger gusts. That wind will not die down tomorrow. Mid to upper 40s at lunchtime, mid 40s by 5 in the afternoon. We'll start to clear late in the day, but of course most of that will be after the sun goes down. Here are the wind speeds in neighborhoods across the valley. Next surge of wind moving north to south across town. Still from our water smart neighborhood weather stations, light wind in southeastern parts of town, but boy, this number is flying up in Centennial Hills around 20 miles per hour. 54 and 45, the cool numbers today, but at least the sun was out, even though the wind was blowing. And here's the cold air diving right down through the nation's midsection. And with the cold air coming down, we've got rain coming up, actually from the Pacific. And once it moves into that colder air, it freezes. It's a mess. Check out these pictures from Missouri. What's happening is we've got a huge ice storm. It's involving Kansas. It's involving Missouri, across to Illinois. This happens when the temperature within the clouds is above freezing, so the precipitation falls as liquid, as rain, but the temperature on the ground is below freezing, so once it hits the ground, it freezes and you get the ice and several inches of ice. It makes driving impossible. Walking is impossible. You have power outages. It is just an absolute mess. And check out the radar picture because this ice is actually going to be drifting farther to the east and into the Midwest. A little bit of snow falling a little to the north of that. Okay, so there goes that moisture south to north. Here comes this moisture north to south. These are the clouds we're going to be dealing with. And underneath the clouds, a couple of flakes flying, not a huge deal, but it's possible because of the temperature. We could get a few flurries here in town. These radar returns to the east of Las Vegas are false. Nothing is falling there yet. Also, we've got this front here and a cold surge of air, so that's going to reinforce the cold air that we experienced today. We've got more of it on the way. Here come your numbers. These are the lows tomorrow morning. Overton going down to 37, 19 in Caliente. Highs tomorrow, 48 in Pahrump. Be lucky to get there. And it'll be 56 down in Laughlin. For the valley, all the way down to 37, and the wind blowing at times in some neighborhoods, gusting over 20, couple showers possible, maybe even some flurries. We won't get out of the 40s tomorrow with the wind blowing. It'll be chilly. It'll start to clear slowly in the afternoon. The mountain will get an inch or two of snow on top of the snow they've had the last couple of weekends. And your 7-day forecast now as we look ahead will clear off late tomorrow. We'll have a mostly sunny sky on Wednesday, but still cool with a high of 52. And check this out, all week long lows in the 30s. Yeah, I'm not proud to bring you this weather. I'm just the messenger.
And I don't want to hear chilly. It's cold.
It is cold, and we are weather wimps. We've already established that.
Especially when you look at the rest of the country, no doubt.
You bet, exactly.
All right, thanks, Kevin.
Okay.
Here's a look at some of the stories you can find right now on our website at kvbc.com. The 2 deadly shootings in Colorado at religious facilities now getting the attention of local churches. Jesse Corona will show us what steps are being taken to make sure our places of worship don't become vulnerable. Also, it was a crazy weekend in Las Vegas. You can check out some of our coverage of Fight Night along with the National Finals Rodeo. And it was Mommy and Me Monday on News 3 Today. Kim Wagner will show us some hassle-free shopping and travel tips for the holiday season. It's right now on kvbc.com.
Well, coming up, so far, getting to the moon has been handled by the government.
By the professionals. But Google wants to change that. Up next, the astronomical prize for the next pioneer in space exploration.
Don't let traffic slow you down. Chopper Tom Hawley digs deeper, showing you the areas you need to avoid. Be the first to see. Be the first to know. Watch Sky 3 Traffic, Monday through Friday, in the air every morning. Wake up with the Wagners on News 3 Today.
Two popular heartburn drugs are not bad for your heart after all. That's according to the Food and Drug Administration, who says Nexium and Prilosec do not pose an increased risk for heart problems. The new report comes after analysis of more than a dozen studies on the two heartburn drugs. A warning was issued back in May, but it was based on just two small studies.
Our early roots, Vegas's early days and the mob roots here will be on display in a new museum. The city's moving forward with plans to educate the public on organized crime's pivotal role in transforming Las Vegas into what it is today, the world's gambling entertainment capital. If everything goes as planned, it should be open by 2010. Now, back in the day, Mayor Oscar Goodman, just Oscar Goodman back then, was a lawyer for several reputed mobsters. He says he expects the museum to be brutally honest.
A lot of history there. Well, it's $30 million up for grabs, but cashing in won't be easy.
No, internet giant Google is going beyond this world for a unique challenge. It wants someone to launch a new way of getting to the moon.
Scott Budman shows us one company that's giving it a shot.
Start and liftoff of.
We've been to the moon before, but can you imagine our lunar satellite as a place where we might live and do business? These people can.
To provide access to the moon that's low cost and reliable.
Dr. Bob Richards is the founder of Odyssey Moon. It wants to be the first company to make a private robotic mission to the moon, and in doing so, win the Google X Prize of $30 million.
Where it's safe to live or habitate for maybe 3 weeks or months or maybe even a year. And then once we figured that out and we know where we want to go, we know where the science is, we know where the resources are, then the humans will follow, and then it's really exciting. Then we're a multi-planet species.
It's an ambitious goal, not just to land on the moon, but to settle on the moon. Odyssey Moon is one of several companies expected to try for the X Prize. It's already building its lunar rover, complete with 3D cameras, to try and discover energy resources and eventually living quarters on the lunar surface.
And it'll give young people hope for the future. They'll be able to look up for the first time in human history and know that there's people up there, us, on another world.
Something to think about the next time you look up and assume you're just seeing a bunch of rocks. Scott Budman for NBC News.
Pretty cool to think about. Would you go?
I definitely am.
Me
Always
too.
up for a good adventure.
It's kind of my hope is that, you know, in our generation, we'll live long enough to see tourism into space. They're working on it.
You
we'll
never
see.
know.
Yeah.
We'll see. Well, up next, Rick Strasser will have more on the sentence laid down on NFL player Michael Vick.
Plus, on the day of his sentencing, his former NFL team takes the field of Monday Night Football. It's coming up next in sports on Nightside.
This segment brought to you by Golightly & Associates, 222-3333.
When you're injured in an accident, don't count on insurance companies to help. I can help you get your life back.
Welcome back. I'm sure we've all heard it said that the truth hurts sometimes. Well, in Michael Vick's case, the lack of truth ended up hurting him the most when it came to his sentencing today. The judge felt he's been less than honest, so a much stiffer sentence. Since pleading guilty to federal dogfighting charges, Vick has failed a drug test, failed a polygraph, and it's costing him about a year. Judge Henry Hudson said he was not convinced Vick accepted full responsibility and didn't fess up to his true involvement in killing dogs that didn't perform, so his sentence was 23 months. It could have been 12 to 18. Ironic that on the day Michael Vick was sentenced, the team he's suspended from played on Monday night. Falcons hosting the Saints. Nolans chasing the final playoff spot in the NFC. Drew Brees to David Patton for the score. Later, Brees again, one of two hookups with Marcus Colston. It's 17-7. Chris Redmond quarterbacking for Atlanta. Through Michael Jenkins' hands to Roman Harper. He'll take it back for the score. Bad day for the Falcons all around. 34-14, your final score. I guess you could call it a retirement gone bad. 7 months after retiring from the sport of boxing, which is basically the same thing as the time off between fights, I guess, Floyd Mayweather Jr. silenced the naysayers and thousands of British fans by knocking out Ricky Hatton. Now, anyone who was anywhere near the MGM Grand last week or was at the fight on Saturday or watched the fight on TV had to hear the song the thousands of Brit fans sang endlessly. There's only one Ricky Hatton. Sing it with me. There's only one Ricky Hatton. Walking along, singing a song. Walking in a Hatton Wonderland. Annoying? Yes. Well, Floyd came up with a new version.
There's only one Mayweather. There's only one Mayweather. He talks the talk and he walks the walk. Walking to the money land.
I've never seen support of a British fighter what they give me this weekend. It was absolutely first class. Bring the tear to your eye. Everywhere we went, every hotel, every casino. You know, I'm getting a bit sick of that song now myself, to be honest with you.
At least he's honest. Finally in the NBA, great play tonight by a former running Rebel, Sean Marion and the Suns hosting Miami. Huge block on Adonis Haslam, then hustles down to the other end to finish the break with the flush. We like the hustle, but the Heat topped the Suns, believe it or not, 117 to 113. Stay with us. More News 3 Nightside right after this. There's only
Check it out, NASA engineers are used to working the bugs out of a problem. Oh. Well, they're working on a fuel sensor problem right now, and may also want to do something about the real bug problem.
Yeah, that right there is a spider you see crawling over the camera that's focused on the launch pad. It is huge. The space shuttle Atlantis will stay put at least until the new year.
As long as they don't get into the shuttle, right? If you're an astronaut,
it's
you're
like
okay
a bad
with outside.
70s movie right there.
What can you do? Toss them out the window?
Right. Yeah.
Roll it down.
Roll it back up. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you back here again tomorrow night.